In terms of advice for people on LinkedIn, like, do you have any advice around cold outreach? Like, what do you say? Because I collect so many good and also bad emails and messages just because I think they're great examples. Because I will say just quickly that, like, I think most people assume that, you know, everyone else is doing the right job. And I think when people actually see how little effort, and I think that's kind of the reoccurring theme already here, is putting effort in. But I think there are a lot of people who tend to just expect like everyone else is normal, but like when they see the bar is so low, it's like you literally just putting in effort, like, hello, let me introduce myself, and front load some of the information that you need, and also try to keep it short enough that I'm not wasting your time. These are the simple things that people overlook. So I'm just curious what your thoughts are.
Yeah. I mean, nowadays I get quite a few LinkedIn messages. So it's something that I am starting to see, like, okay, this is a good outreach. This one maybe needs some work, but I would say, yeah, it's totally what you're saying about, the effort is, if I get a message and all it says is, I think ILM is a great studio and I'd love to work there one day. It's really hard to reply to that because
you send a thumbs up.
Yeah, it's like, that's great. Best of luck with your journey. But if somebody reaches out and says, I'm in school, this is what I'm studying, I'm really interested in going into this discipline. It would be great to be able to get, 15 minutes of your time, or if you could just reply back, I have a couple questions. Mm-hmm. And then you put the questions in there. That's meaning that there's no work on my end. I literally just have to reply. But I think when it's vague or there's not enough information in there, it's really hard to put in the effort to reply to that. I think it's also be purposeful with what you're saying. So make sure you spell industrial light and magic correctly, or, make sure that if you're addressing somebody, if they're a Mrs. or a Miss or not a Mr. We get that a lot. And, spelling and grammar, it does, we do notice that. So I would say, take some time and actually look at what you're saying, make sure it makes sense, and make sure you're reaching out to the right person. That's another huge thing, is if you're interested in saying, going into animation, reaching out to the person that does, facilities coordination, it's probably not your right audience. So make sure you do a little research and look at, like, who's the person that I might want to contact. And you might not hear back. You might not hear back from the person that you were ideally wanting to talk to, but maybe it'll be somebody else. So keep trying, and also be genuinely interested in what they have to say. So don't think that you already know the answers or have expectations of what they're going to say. Is genuinely be interested in learning from them.
Yeah, that's great. And do you encourage follow-up occasionally? Let's say if you don't hear from someone a couple of months from now, maybe send a friend a follow-up, not 20 more times the next day.
Yeah. And I will say, I mean, I've done that, is I'll have, 3 students reach out to me from the same school, and they've kind of got the same profile, and I'll respond, and then I'll get a follow-up a month later and be like, oh, right, there was 2 other students from that same school with the same kind of profile, but you kind of forget, who you've responded to. And so, yeah, a friendly reminder, or just checking in. And I think that's totally fine.
Cool. And that's really awesome. Whether it is during the interview or ways that they can kind of help indicate or prove or show that they have certain soft skills, like, is there any recommendations you have for how to kind of get that across?
Yeah, cover letters.
I'm so glad you said that. Nobody ever talks about cover letters, and it's like, to me, the most important thing. No one's going to look at your reel if you don't have a good letter.
Exactly. Yeah. And I think this is the thing. There's one of the recruiters I work with, and she's always saying cover letters, because it is so important. I mean, a reel shows the work that you can do. A resume shows what you have done, but a cover letter shows, who you are and what you're going to offer. It is a way for you to showcase, why do you want to work from us? How do you communicate? It's really an opportunity for you to take a moment and tell us more about yourself. And I think that that's something that a lot of applicants forget, is that this is, that's your chance to shine, is through a cover letter, and make sure to include that with everything else. And that's also what's going to make you stand out, is being able to kind of demonstrate and show to us who you are and why you want to come to ILM. I think that's really important.
I think it's also incentive too, because again, you've got to consider how many applicants you're typically talking to on a daily basis. And the thing is that if someone is literally saying, hey, here's my stuff, which is something I've seen, like some really talented senior people who are like, no one seems to call me back. And I'm like, I bet it's your cover letter. And it is. As soon as they actually put in the effort there to convey their skill set and incentivize them to actually click the link and look at their stuff.
It makes you stand out. And I think we read them. The recruiters are reading the cover letters. And so, being able to talk a bit more about yourself, especially too, if you're transitioning from something, a little bit different, is being able to indicate to us, hey, this is my experience. And this is why I think my experience is going to fit with what I'm looking at doing now. And I think that's something that, it just really helps. It goes a long way. A good cover letter goes a long way.
Just to dive a little bit into it, are there certain things that you would recommend talking about? Like one thing which is not to talk about is like, I think like story, a little bit of backstory is good in 1 or 2 lines. Their life story, picture of their dog, and everything else is a little bit too much. Like one thing I would always recommend is like first paragraph's more of a summary, just as a chance to kind of give context. But for you, like are there certain things that you always encourage people to convey in that letter?
Yeah, conveying passion. That is one thing at ILM, is everyone here is just so passionate about the work that we do, about the jobs that they have. Like everybody is just so excited and passionate every day about what we do. And so I think seeing that in a candidate makes us excited. It's like, this is somebody who's just as excited as we are, and they want to be here. And so that's something, as I would say, include it, is talk about the passion around visual effects and the work that you've done and the work, that you've done in your past. I think that is great. Explaining a bit more about your journey. So talking a bit about like, this is what I've done in the past. This is how I think it's relevant to where I'm going. These are the skills that I have, and this is why they're relevant. It's your personal selling card. It's really talking yourself up. And that's something I see a lot in juniors is they're almost too humble and kind of nervous to talk themselves up. And it's like, no, this is your chance. This is what's going to get you into that interview, is to be able to say like, hey, I'm great, and this is why. And at the same time, I mean, it's a confidence, not an overconfidence. There's a balance there. But it's being able to kind of talk yourself up and being able for us to see that you're passionate and you're skilled. And and definitely don't go too far into the personal life. I think there's definitely a limit of what we need to know.
Yep. Yeah, agreed there. That's usually the ones that get shared.
Yes.